Am I the a-hole for not making my wife choose between me and her affair partner? As soon as I found out, I moved out and filed for divorce. Counseling is not on the table. An open relationship is out. I'm not interested in having anything to do with her again. She tried saying that if I ask, she would choose me. Gross. I don't want her. Some of our friends think I should have fought for our marriage, so I offered to sleep with them or their wives to see how they feel about the situation then. No one has taken me up on my kind and Christian offer. I'm paying my half of the lease on the apartment. There are 4 months left. In the meantime, I'm going to work and spending my time off at all-inclusive resorts. It's cheaper than getting an apartment for myself. Am I the a-hole for not trying to save our marriage? Now for the top comments. She tried saying that if I ask, she would choose me. You did ask her at your wedding. Wild of her to say that. Not the a-hole. She didn't stay true to her vows. Why should he stay true to his? Since the marriage vow has already been broken, he is free to divorce her. She said she would choose him, but didn't choose him when she was sleeping with the other guy. What right does she have to choose him now? Even Jesus said you can divorce a cheating spouse. Not the a-hole. If she was going to choose you, she shouldn't have had an affair in the first place. I like her response to the friends too. Right, like how could they deny such a kind and Christian offer like that? Lol. At least the friends would know who their partners would be sleeping with. Definitely not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. You pleading and begging, please stop cheating on me. Please, please, choose me, is emasculatingly humiliating. Not to mention, she already chose this other person. You made a correct move. She would have chosen you to be her doormat, as she continued to cheat whenever the heck she felt like it. You can sleep well tonight knowing that you improved your life, and the best is yet to come. You'll eventually meet someone who deserves you. I'm glad to see someone with some damn self-respect. The pick-me game is pathetic. So many of those posts. It makes me sick. Next story. Am I the a-hole for letting my ex-girlfriend have gonorrhea for a year? About 18 months ago, I, 31 male at a time, began dating a woman, Beth, 24 at a time. Beth and I had a lot in common, and we met fairly often. I've always taken my sexual health very seriously, and early in our relationship, I demanded we have full STI panels done. Beth was fully on board with this, and we went and got tested together. We were able to show clean tests to each other, and since Beth was on the pill, our intercourse was all done and protected. About 5 months into our relationship, Beth went on a 3-week vacation in France. She came home talking about how she had had a wonderful time, showing me pictures and stories. On our first night back, having had 3 weeks without sex, we naturally had it a few times. 2 days after that, I had extreme pain during urination and discharge from my member. I honestly had no idea what was going on, so I went to a urologist who immediately told me that I must have a bacterial infection. He asked if I had been exposed to any STIs, to which I responded no, I hadn't. He then said for precautionary measures, he'd give me preemptive treatment for bacterial STIs while waiting for my lab results. A few days later, my lab results came back. By the time, my symptoms had entirely disappeared. I went to the doctor's office, and he explained that I had gonorrhea. I was stunned, because Beth was my only partner, which meant one thing. She had cheated on me, probably in Europe. At this point, I ghosted Beth. Blocked her on social media, phone number blocked. I assumed she'd try to reach out in some way, but she never came to my house to see me. I figured that was the end of it, and lived my life as normal for the next year. Well, yesterday I got a visit at my front door. It was Beth. She broke down, telling me that she had exposed me to an STI, and that if I hadn't already, I should get tested. I explained that I already knew, and that's kind of why I ghosted her. Beth was stunned for a second, and then shrieked at me, "Why the hell didn't you tell me?" Apparently, having gonorrhea for a year wreaked havoc on her reproductive system, and she may be completely infertile now. She always wanted to have children. I'm conflicted now about if what I did was a-hole-ish. At the time, I was so depressed that I just couldn't bring myself to talk to her about it. You know, normally F around and find out isn't quite so literal. My ex found someone and banged some random dude off Tinder a week after she broke up with me. Called me, asked if I gave her chlamydia, told her no, got tested anyway and sent the results. It was negative. And she had the nerve to blame me, that it was my fault she went out and raw dogged some guy from Tinder. She also effed around and found out quite literally. If it were me, I would have communicated a diagnosis and then ghosted. However, I don't care how any of you spin it. OP cannot be blamed for the actions of the ex. Asymptomatic or not, sexually active adults should be tested regularly. It's been a year, so that means neither her nor any of her other partners have been tested in that time. Not to mention, she chose to sleep with a stranger unprotected and didn't get tested and exposed him to the STD in the first place. It's likely not the first time she's done it either. We just went through a freaking pandemic, and no one learned a damn thing about protecting each other and caring for the public at large. Humanity's cooked. She knew she had unprotected sex and was completely irresponsible by putting your health at risk. She cheated and then infected you with some other guy's gonorrhea. How vile is that? If she was so concerned about her reproductive health, then she should have been getting tested regularly. How many other guys did she infect after you, I wonder? This is a majorly harsh life lesson for her, if she truly is infertile now. But she did this to herself, not the a-hole. Exactly this. But I have to add, if she was so concerned about her reproductive health, she would have used protection when sleeping with random people in Europe. But I like to believe that some things happen for a reason, like breaking up a relationship between a cheater and a good responsible man. Glad OP took his symptoms seriously and got it treated. Next story. Am I the a-hole for accidentally raising my voice at my wife and throwing away her dishes and clothes because she won't wash them, just buy new ones? I, 28 male, have been married to my wife, female 30, for 2 years now, together for 5. We were going to start trying for a baby, but that got put on hold and might not happen anymore. My wife and I both work, and we make about the same amount and work about the same amount of hours. My wife and I originally had a chore system set up, where we just rock, paper, scissor the calendar for our days off. We got a pretty fair cut, I want to say, but she did get more dishes days. I got more, if not all, the laundry. My wife hates washing dishes. She hates it with such a passion that she sometimes just shuts down and cries when she sees them in the sink. Before, when I caught her crying, I immediately went to help her, switched chores for the day, calm her down, and then it was fine. But because I was doing this, I noticed that she was crying on purpose, so I washed the dishes. I knew she was faking it, because the second I took over, her tears stopped, and she'd go do something fun that she liked without a care in the world, laughing and smiling. No wind down like before. Because of this, we changed our dishes to whoever makes the dish washes it. Like children, with the exception of cooking. Whoever cooked doesn't have to wash the pots and pans because they put all the work in for dinner. This was also her suggestion, which I was more than okay with. This was working out for a little while, until I noticed that my wife made a lot more dishes than me and just didn't want to wash them. I asked her when she planned on washing dishes after I made dinner at her request, and she blew up on me, telling me to quite literally F off. I did as she said, but left the dishes. The next day, she asked me why the dishes weren't done, and I told her because she didn't do them. This started a fight, and I washed them, but I wasn't happy. I do most, if not all, of the laundry because she just won't anymore, and I refuse to wear dirty clothes. The only thing she has to do with the laundry is put it in the basket. That's it. We have a basket for darks, colors, and whites. She insists on her own basket for underwear and whatnot, so that's its own thing and I hand wash it. She's been not putting her clothes in the basket. At first, I picked up all of her clothes and washed them because it was no big deal. But when I watched her take her clothes off and just leave them on the floor because I always pick it up, I chose to leave her clothes there. She asked me why her clothes weren't done. I said because she didn't put them away and she blew up on me. Same story. Recently, this all came to a head with all the fighting. My wife has been getting lazier and lazier to push back because of our fights. And at first, I was doing all of her chores on top of working. But I had a little moment of, why am I even doing this? And just stopped. The dishes piled, her clothes were dirty, crumbs were everywhere on her days. On my days, everything was spick and span. She decided that she's going to just start buying more dishes and clothes to combat not doing her part. I cannot tell you how frustrated this made me. She was buying plastic spoons and forks, paper plates, Walmart t-shirts, and whatever other cheap alternative to the nice ones she has at home. I just decided to start tossing them. When she noticed that I was tossing her cheap alternatives, she blew up at me again. And for the first time since we've been together, I raised my voice. My voice is deep and I'm a big man, so this scared her, which I regretted. I immediately lowered my tone and told her that she just isn't doing her part and that she's wasting money buying useless things when all she has to do is just clean up after herself and put clothes in a basket. She cried, and despite how many times I apologized, she told me that she doesn't feel safe with me and that maybe we're better off divorcing. This shattered me. She's been cold toward me, sleeping on the couch and playing domestic violence signs videos out loud. It's such a low blow. The videos usually talk about yelling, throwing away items, control, emotional abuse, and signs that they're going to get physical. I don't think I'm wrong for what I did, but this is really wearing me down, and I've been getting some texts here and there from our families calling me an a-hole, an abuser for throwing away her things and yelling at her, and that she needs to divorce me. The yelling was an accident. No one has wanted to hear what fully happened, and it's making me feel alone and a bit crazy. My friends are either staying out of it or are on her side if they're women. I've been losing friends. I feel like an a-hole now. Am I the a-hole? All I wanted was for her to clean up after herself. I'd never hurt her and I've never yelled at her before, which I do regret. I didn't mean to scare her. I was just beyond frustrated because this has been building for months. I get that it was probably immature to throw away the disposables and that I should have just cleaned up after her, but I was just frustrated. Now for the top comments. It's not too soon to admit that she's not the best partner for you. If what you write is completely accurate, then it's you who is in an abusive relationship and should exit. OP didn't ask for this advice, but I think he needs it. Please, please do not get this woman pregnant. Get out and buy what you need and use them to make sure this doesn't happen. Do not rely on her to manage birth control. Stop having sex with this woman immediately. Move out and move on. I'm honestly a little frustrated with the OP that he doesn't done this already. Crazy train. This, OP, if you think she will ever get up from a sound sleep at 2 a.m. with a baby cries, you are sorely mistaken. You and you alone will have sleepless nights for the next 1 to 3 years plus. If you get her pregnant, run while you can. Lord, just divorce her. She sounds like a 12-year-old. Now she's playing domestic violence victim because you yelled once? Get out of there and find an adult to share your life with. Seriously, she seems manipulative, unstable, dishonest, and just gross. I do not understand why OP would stay, not a-hole. Last story. Am I the a-hole for letting my ex's mom into my book club and making his fiancé feel dumb? I, 28 female, dated Jim, 29 male, fake name, when I was 24. We separated when I was 25, and I haven't talked to him much after that. But I still sometimes speak to his parents, especially his mom, whom I have even introduced my father-in-law to as they both love gardening. Now, I've been running a small book club for my uni days, with just a couple of lovely women, and we gather in my home library and talk about books in witchy or historical fiction. We also talk about gardening and old folk tales, and I just consider it a very fulfilling hobby. Jim's mom, let's call her Amy, asked me last month if she could join my book club, as my father-in-law had mentioned it to her when they were chatting at the nursery. She thought it sounded great, and I said yes, and I didn't think Jim would mind. Also, it wasn't his business. Amy then joined one session and gushed about it to her husband, who mentioned it to Jim. Now, the problem started there. I later learned that Jim's parents are not fond of his fiancée Beatrice, 30 female. Jim's dad thinks Beatrice has nothing in common with her family. The three of them are huge readers, and thinks that Beatrice is shallow, as she works with makeup and clothes. She's a boutique buyer. Plus, the reason I interacted less with Jim and his parents following our breakup is that Jim dumped me for Beatrice. And even though I'm married and they are somewhat friends with my father-in-law, Jim's parents think Beatrice is not right for their intellectual son. Apparently, at some family dinner, Jim's parents kept on speaking over Beatrice and mentioning how well I had been doing. And Amy had been talking about what books the book club had recommended. And I guess Jim's dad had made a comment on how he wished he had a daughter to talk about books to, and that had hurt Beatrice. Jim later called me and told me about all of this, and that me letting his mom in my club has only given his parents more ammo to hurt Beatrice. I apologized, as I knew none of this. I later asked Amy to not talk about anything book club related outside. I made up a lie about how we pretended to be a coven and can't discuss these things with the outside world, even though it felt awkward and childish. I thought that would be it. Except, Beatrice and one of her friends have made scathing posts on Facebook and Instagram, and even tagged my father-in-law in one of them, and how snobbish and mean-minded bookish women try to take other women's men because they can only read and act smart. Jim then again called me and said that Jim's mom had started a huge fight over it, and she had taken back the jewelry she had given to Beatrice for the wedding. I was a bit shocked, as I rarely spoke to Jim after our breakup, and only interacted with his parents when I ran into them as we live in a small town. But he sounded and acted like I was the reason his family was going through a spat. My husband and father-in-law are saying that Beatrice was lucky that I didn't think of retaliating, and that I was not in the wrong. But I am starting to feel guilty, and I need a second opinion. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Many people are asking, so yes, Jim did sort of cheat on me with Beatrice. He admitted to having an emotional affair with Beatrice and dumped me. I later heard that his parents did not take it well. Not a-hole. Jim's parents have been a-holes and Beatrice's reaction is pathetic, but none of this is because of you. Just stay completely out of it and tell Jim to deal with his parents in a relationship without involving you. This comment right here. Be a man and deal with your situation, but calling me to complain isn't going to change anything. Not a-hole. Stay out of their drama. Not your circus, not your monkeys. You can be friends with his mother. It sounds like she enjoys you and your book club. Jim is projecting his issues with Beatrice onto you. It has nothing to do with you. She made an immature attack-filled post against his own mother's interests, tagged her future father-in-law, and created her own drama. Her actions caused mother-in-law to take her jewelry back, and good for her. Why give jewelry and your blessing to a petty witch who likes to manufacture drama and force people into it? I would block Jim. He can have his prize Beatrice, and you can continue to have a relationship with his mom who values and appreciates you. Yeah, she could have gushed about you less to spare Beatrice, but Beatrice's behavior caused this whole situation. And Jim defending her and blaming you shows they're meant for each other. Perpetual victims shifting blame to others, instead of owning their own feelings and behaviors. I would consider that relationship lucky. You got the best part of it, mother-in-law's friendship. Not a-hole, block Jim. Let Beatrice alienate herself from her future in-laws with her own actions. Seems she wants the drama, posting her rants publicly and tagging people. Ridiculous.
Update. I 32 female work overnights, but my father-in-law 60s male keeps bad-mouthing me and telling everyone I'm lazy. I'm afraid people are starting to buy it. Original story. I work overnights in a very demanding medical field. My sleep schedule's always been nocturnal, so this feels more natural to me than working days and brings my stress down. My husband is gone 5 days out of the week as a truck driver and my days off are the same days as home, thanks to my seniority, and we are both night owls during this period. My mother-in-law recently passed away, so my father-in-law sold everything and moved to where we were. It has been included in my family events. At Christmas, my brother pulled me aside to let me know that my father-in-law is telling anyone who will listen that I'm lazy because I sleep all day. I work 12 to 24-hour shifts at my job during the days I'm working. The only reason I get my days off to align with my husband is the seniority I have, and even then I often have to work when he's home. I've now noticed that, along with him calling me, I am starting to miss calls around 2 to 3 p.m. from family members who know I'm home and are asking me to do things for them during the day. I'm usually asleep by noon and have to be up for work around 8 or 9 p.m. I've sat these people down to explain that I am an overnight emergency worker and that I need my sleep. My husband sat my father-in-law down and explained to him what I do, how I need my sleep, and that he's being a jerk. But my father-in-law maintains that a real job doesn't have overnights. I don't want to have to cut contact with him because we are the only family he has left. My husband stands behind me and says if I want to cut him out, even just to let him have a timeout, he's game. I also don't know how to address my whole family about this. My mom combats it as much as possible, but his way of thinking is starting to permeate them too. Now for the top advice before reading the update. I work nights, and I just return calls at 2 and 3 a.m. when it's convenient for me. They catch on. Think it's time for Opie to have a bring your child father-in-law to work day. This is exactly what I was thinking. Have him do some clinicals by your side. Let him see that you are indeed working the hours that he is sleeping. I'm not in the medical field, but I'm pretty sure this would be super weird. If it's even allowed. Doubtful. I know if I'm at a hospital and some doctor/nurse was like, "Do you mind if I bring in my father-in-law?" Oh no, he's not medical personnel. He is just a trash talker. I don't want to prove a point to him. Now please take off your pants. I'd be like, WTF. Start ringing father-in-law in at 2 or 3 in the morning and ask him why he isn't up yet. Tell him he's lazy for sleeping when you're at work. When it tells you you're being ridiculous, respond accordingly. Mom worked nights when I was a kid. Dad called Mom a few times while he was on lunch, waking her up. So she returned the favor and Dad figured it out immediately. Since Mom and Grandpa were both on nights during their careers, a benefit from them training our family. Also, do not disturb is a fantastic thing on smartphones. Only 7 people can ring me during hours I set. They know not to call unless it's important. I use my phone as an alarm clock, so I can't just leave it in another room. I'm happy that your husband is on your side. Don't feel bad for your father-in-law when it doesn't feel bad for you. He needs to move out ASAP. Also, it's not your job to do anyone's errands. Ask these people that when the heck are you supposed to sleep if you work from X to Y. I'm petty, so I would call them in the middle of the night. Surely not everyone in your family is dumb. I wouldn't worry about it. I work from home. The amount of errands I got asked to do because you're not busy was insane, until I put a stop to it. I guarantee father-in-law's telling the family she's just being idle. There are people who will see an opportunity. And now for the update. Hey all. I dealt with my family members at a family gathering over the weekend. I saw my sister, one of my family members who had been texting me, and reminded her that I'm asleep at 3 or 4 p.m. when she texts. If she texts me first thing in the morning, like when she leaves for work at 7, maybe I could do whatever favor she needs before I go to sleep. I told her that I wouldn't be adjusting my schedule to do her favors. She seemed to understand. Over the weekend, my husband and I sat down with my father-in-law one last time to try to get him to understand that I'm a medical professional. I work nights and that my nights are as hard as working a day shift, oftentimes harder. I brought up my mother-in-law and reminded him how she called 911 at 2 a.m. when she had her first heart attack. I told him the person on the other end of that phone had a real job. The EMTs who came to take her to the hospital had real jobs, and the ear nurses and doctors that treated her had real jobs. I told him that yes, I could take a day shift, but I would be unhappy in the end because I'm just not wired to be awake during the day. Today is an exception because I'm on vacation and had a dentist appointment. Well, those who guessed that this was way more about my job were right. After the discussion, he point-blank told me that my chosen hours weren't conducive to having children. When I reminded him that when his son and I got married 10 years ago, we both agreed that we weren't having children. He had some choice words. My husband kicked him out of our house and my family will stop inviting him to family gatherings. It's not the outcome I wanted, but hopefully it'll come around. Edit. To be clear, he did not live with us, but near us. My husband kicked him out of our house that evening. Heart attack. Genius. My husband kicked him out of our house and my family will stop inviting him to family gatherings. Good work. And welcome to r/child-free. As soon as I got married, both sides of the family started incessantly badgering us about kids. Are they offering to babysit to take care of our home? Of course not. I'll have kids when I get tired of having freedom and money. One of my daughters doesn't want to have kids. I see the static she gets sometimes and it pisses me off. What is wrong with people? If someone doesn't want kids, they should not have them. Having kids when you don't want them is the worst thing you can do. I agree. A lot of people shouldn't have kids, and yet so many people legitimately think women's sole purpose in life is to reproduce, and that we will not and cannot be happy if we don't. Thanks for the update. I think you and your husband handled it perfectly. Your job. It was always something more than the job. Nighttime medical shift work is the hardest job in the hospital. He sounds like a massive jerk who needs to keep his nose in his own business. Glad your husband stood up for you. Raised in a household where one parent worked days and the other nights. There's always someone home and always someone to pick up the kid. That's exactly why my parents did it. That's how me and my husband do it. I work days and he works evenings/weekends. It's a heck of a lot cheaper than $800+ per month in childcare, and she gets to be with her dad all day. Happy ending to an awful father-in-law. I'm not defending the dude, and he certainly has no right to treat family this way, but it's possible with the loss of his wife, having thoughts of getting old, and having no grandkids from his son has clouded his thought process. Grieving sucks, and can do weird things to your brain. It might be on his mind, but the words that came out of his mouth towards me when we reminded him we weren't having kids were absolutely unacceptable. He called me a lot of different names, including a racial slur. I'm mixed race, and he has never shown any sort of racism before. I hope he's just clouded and genuinely apologizes. I don't believe he's a bad person. Maybe just hurting. Next story is titled, My father-in-law, 47, has a terminal illness, and he propositioned me, 29 female. Myself and my husband have been together for 11 years and married 7. I wish this wasn't true. My father-in-law has been stepdad since he was 8, and my mother-in-law separated 2 years ago because he has been messaging other women, younger ones for context, like mid to late 20s. It was rough for a while, but everything has been okay, and relationships have been repaired. He is a great dad to my husband, and an amazing granddad to our kid and our extended family. His bio family are amazing people, and we've never been treated as anything other than blood. We're all extremely close, and it's a big family. That's what makes this harder. I've never felt creeped out by him, even though I knew this thing for younger women, but he's always been very respectful to me and treated me like a daughter. I and my husband were obviously extremely shocked and disappointed in him, and it took time to work through my husband and his relationship, but he made a huge effort to repair it and prove himself again. He has just had a diagnosis which gives him a few months. I don't want to go into detail for anonymity reasons. I went to see him before my husband got home from work and while my daughter was still in school to check on him. He gave me all the awful details, and we cried, etc. He told me it's sad he won't see his granddaughter grow up, his son grow older, and all his regrets. Then he told me he needed to tell me that he has always been attracted to me, and if I would agree to have one night with him as his dying wish. He said he isn't going to be able to meet anyone he's been hoping to, and hasn't had action since mother-in-law, and it would mean everything to him. I shut down. I know I should have said or done something, but I felt sick to my stomach, excused myself, and ran the heck out of there. I'm now at home wondering how do I handle this, and when/if/how I tell my husband. He's wondering why I'm not reacting to the bad news, and I've just said I'm still in shock. But obviously I feel disgusted by him and don't ever want to see him again. Do I ruin the only dad he's ever known for him and make the already impossible situation even worse? Lose all of our family? I'm so scared and confused. I've never seen him act like this or treat me this way. His relationship with my mother-in-law isn't the best, and his bio dad has never cared about him. He doesn't see his siblings. The family we have are my father-in-law's and my family, who are great. Anyone know how I deal with this crap show? Now for the advice. Tell your husband right now or this will eat you up. Otherwise, as you seem indifferent to dad's dying, it'll make him think you are some kind of cold, heartless person. It could destroy your marriage. To make it even simpler, someone did something awful to you, and your husband's job is to make you feel better. And again, you can't keep the secret forever. And if it comes out after the old bugger is dead, your husband will always wonder what dad's side of the story was. There are so many downsides to keeping quiet. And remember, you aren't ruining anything. He is. Thank you, you're right. Also, dying is not an excuse to do awful things. If anything, this person does not care at all to ruin yours and his own son's marriage, and then punch out. This isn't something you can really carry with you secretly without there being serious complications. You should tell your husband. As for ruining the relationship, no you didn't. Your father-in-law did that when he made a pass at you. I've carried a similar burden for 40 years. Tell him. I could honestly say so much. Do I ruin the only dad he's ever known for him and make the already impossible situation even worse? Your father-in-law managed that all by himself when he propositioned you. Tell your husband. And be prepared to support him throughout the fallout because I imagine it'll be immense. I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. Exactly. I know how hard this will be on him. And getting the news this morning. It's going to break him. I guess I'm trying to figure out how to tell someone you love something that is going to change their whole perspective on a relationship they have that means everything. Ah, freaking heck. Is this disease any way affecting his mental faculties? Bearing that, there isn't any excuse and the former is flimsy to begin with. First, your husband needs to know. Sooner rather than later. And you need the support he can give. Your father-in-law is solely responsible for any damage or fallout this may cause. It isn't. I wish that was it. Then at least it's an explanation of some kind. I'm going to tell him and we can grab some time without our daughter. I'm just scared. Thank you. Now for the last story. I am tired of being a married single mother. I am tired of being a single mother instead of a married mother, as my husband currently acts like my fifth child instead of a capable adult. When we met, he was a lovable and kind man. But now it seems as though he thinks I'm his personal maid, and that all child rearing and household burdens are mine. I've tried talking to him, and nothing comes out of it. It's as if a married energy vampire sucks all the life energy out of me. I work full-time, do all the domestic chores, all the child-related chores, and every time I ask him to do something, he purposely messes it up, or just doesn't do it. Our son's birthday was almost 2 weeks ago, and all I asked him was to pick up his birthday cake and candles. He literally was with me the day I ordered it at the bakery, but yet I still texted him the bakery's address and the name the order was under. He went to the wrong bakery. I decided to argue with the staff that they clearly messed up and ruined his kid's birthday. At some point, he decided to call me to complain of the deserved, horrible treatment he got from staff. I explained he was at the wrong store, and to hurry up before the bakery closed. My son was standing next to me, and I could see he was genuinely anxious of not at least getting his birthday cake, since we aren't having a party for him. We aren't having any parties as we are still adhering to strict COVID restrictions. I decided to pick the cake up, since I couldn't trust him to make it on time as it was close to the bakery's closing time, so we could still have a small little party with the rest of the household. But I realized that this isn't the first or 100th time this man has messed things up. I'm always the one the kids turn to. The one who is expected to know where everything is, when it should be done. I'm the one to fix it, or to worry about whatever is wrong. He just gets to smile, laugh with the kids, and I'm left with all the worries. I was so angry that he got to play with kids, while I was stuck running around cleaning, cooking, and making all the plans. He just gets to take credit. I can't seem to get over it, and I don't want to get over it. I feel used, neglected, and over-freaking worked. I feel alone. Every other day he talks about how hard he works, and yet it doesn't even measure up to half of what I do. He wakes up in the morning and only worries about getting himself dressed, whether he should go to the gym or what he's having for breakfast. I wake up to getting the kids showered, clothed, then I get them their breakfast and lunches packed. The only thing he does regularly is drop the kids off 2, or if I'm lucky, 3 times a week. While I am left with cleaning the house and then getting myself ready, and even checking in on his elderly parents while I drive to work. And when I'm back from work, he's sitting there waiting for me to make dinner, to help the children with their homework, then clean up, do the laundry, and put the kids to bed. I am so freaking tired. Gun to his head, he wouldn't know the names of the kids' teachers, their best friends, their friends' parents, the doctors, dentists, their tutors or babysitters' phone numbers, his parents' doctors, their medicine, or their caregiver's phone number/working hours. He gets to just exist and without worry, without exhaustion, and I'm so tired of complaining. So tired of crying. So tired. I don't know why I wrote all of this. Maybe I wanted to vent into the vastness of the internet. Maybe I wanted advice. Maybe I am just tired of being miserable on my own. Please Google weaponized incompetence if you're not already familiar. This is exactly what your husband is doing. He can definitely do basic chores and remember basic things, but he knows he can act like an idiot and you'll pick up the slack for him. In my experience, people like this hardly change. What is keeping you in this marriage? It's not like you suddenly became a crappy partner. It was slow, gradual, and before I knew it, it was my job to manage and do everything for our family. All bad things, forgetting to remind kids of their activities, not doing XYZ for the kids, not real bad things, are my fault. And all good things are due to our efforts, even though it was me who made it happen. He gets to be the relaxed parent while I'm forced to be the one that gives the kids a routine and structure. So of course, I'm the bad guy for making the kids go to bed, brush their teeth, etc. I didn't just wake up one day to be in this position. It took a lot of time. I spent the majority of my childhood in foster care, without family and then to be abused by the people who adopted me. I had always hoped and promised myself I would offer my kids everything a child deserved to have. And one of those things is that they are to be part of the 2 people that created them. To know them, to be loved and cared by them. My reluctance to have a failed marriage since he doesn't physically or financially abuse me Being mistreated and abandoned as a child can oftentimes leave you with a very low bar. To give my children the family unit I never had. But at this point, I don't even think they'd mind us separating. He loves his children even though he doesn't raise them. And in many ways, I do love him since he was the first man I got to be safe with. But honestly, love is not enough to sustain a marriage, a family, or a household. I'm fairly certain that divorce is on the table. And I believe that I'm at the stage where I'm mentally preparing myself before I act. Update. My 30 male girlfriend, 32 female of 6 months, has changed her behavior recently and I want to leave. Original post. So I met her earlier this year. We were fast friends within a month of meeting and dating after a month. Official for 6 months or so. Met her on a night out with some friends. We live separately, but she spends a lot of time at my house as it's nearer to where she works. Our relationship started really nicely. I felt like we just got on really well, and she was very supportive of me as well. But recently, she's been quite pushy about me making changes to my lifestyle, and seems angry and disappointed with the results. The two big ones are my work and what I wear. As for my work, I work at the same store I've worked at since I was 16. It's just an easy job. Pays my bills and I know how to do everything there. I'm basically a manager without the responsibility of actually being a manager, as I don't want that level of responsibility for no extra pay. I also make money via stocks and cryptocurrencies, so I don't struggle for money. As for what I like to wear, I have many jumpers and t-shirts of an emo band my friends that I loved when we were young. I genuinely have like 50 or so that I wear a lot because it makes me happy and doesn't hurt anyone either. I admit I have a bit of a problem with anxiety. Familiarity helps me with it. Some family thinks I might have OCD, but I've never been diagnosed. My girlfriend a few weeks ago expressed frustration with my clothes, saying I need to grow up and get new ones. She spends a lot of money to get whatever clothes are in fashion. I don't have a problem with that as it's her money to spend, and she isn't hurting anyone. But I don't know why she has a problem with my clothes. The argument was big, but resolved. And we went shopping and bought me some new clothes. They were actually quite nice, and I like wearing them too. A few days later, I was wearing a band t-shirt again, because the new clothes were in the wash and she was really angry about it. I explained the new clothes were in the wash, and it wasn't decided that I'd completely stop wearing the band stuff. She wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the day. The next day, she had cooled off and explained that she thinks new clothes will help me grow as a person. We talked a long time, and I eventually agreed to get rid of the band clothes. While I was packing them up, I started crying and she called me stupid. And I asked her to leave. She came back a few hours later and we made up. I packed the boxes into my car and told her I was going to donate them. She was really pleased and said I was making the right choice getting rid of them. I didn't donate them though. I took them to work and I'm keeping them there until further notice. My boss was confused but understanding. I got back home and she had ordered me lots of new clothes. She told me she understands it was upsetting, but I'd be better off for it. That night, a few hours later, she wanted to talk about my work and why I'm not a manager. I explained to her that I don't want to be. She's been distant. It only talks about how I should ask to be a manager. I've explained why I don't want to be, and that I wouldn't even be paid more, nor is there a need for it at the store. She just keeps saying that I need to fight for a pay raise as well so I can treat us to nice things. I told her that isn't how it works, and that I make money in other ways, and that she has her own money too, so it shouldn't matter. She shouted at me that I'm useless and stormed out. My boss also told me she called the store and asked him why I'm not a manager. After being upset and feeling useless for a few hours, I decided that I don't want to be with her. I realized I don't see my friends as much as I used to because she likes to spend all our free time just us. I just don't feel happy with her anymore and feel like she actually acted differently when we started out just to get close to me. She even said she loved all the band stuff when I first showed her. I think she may be right that new clothes might help me a bit. I genuinely appreciate that. I like how I look in some of the clothes we bought. But I also liked how I looked in the band stuff, and still think it wasn't over the top. I normally just wear jeans and a t-shirt or jumper anyway. I don't think it's as ridiculous as she said it was. I just thought of it as a wearable collection. People collect weirder things. As well as this. I really don't like that I lied to her about donating the band stuff. It felt horrible and dishonest. My boss and colleagues could tell something was off when I took the boxes into work. I try to be honest, as I don't want to upset people. Anyway, I want to break up with her, but I know it's gonna be difficult. She's good at talking me into stuff, but my mind is made up 100% on this. I'm still not sure when or how to do it though. I'm feeling really anxious about it. Wondering if you guys can give me some advice or help? How can I be assertive about wanting to break up and not have her talk me out of it? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Yes, I think you were right to break up with her. She crossed all sorts of lines in my opinion. It's fine that she made some suggestions on clothing, and even that she expressed that she preferred that while in public. But asking you to get rid of them altogether? Or to not wear it while lounging around the house, or at the gym, or doing yard work type of thing. That's crossing the line into controlling. It's okay for her to ask about your position at work, but calling your boss? That's a major line she crossed there. That's completely unacceptable. She was treating you like a child. That's highly disrespectful. It takes two people to decide to be in a relationship. It takes one to decide to break up. When you go to have the conversation, just remember that you aren't asking for her permission or for her to agree. You are simply informing her of your decision. Personally, I'm not a fan of the in public advice unless you feel she may be violent. Just get together with her when you can. Inform her of your decision. Give her a few minutes, maybe 10 or 20, to ask questions as needed and then cut it off. The whole conversation need not last more than 20 minutes. Jumping off your comment, the next step for OP is as simple as, my boss told me you phoned the store to ask why I'm not a manager. You crossed the line, and we are done. Her personality comes across as very controlling. As you said, the opinions she has aren't necessarily wrong, but her inability to accept a response she doesn't agree with and her escalation are all hints that she won't accept any future opinions from OP. I'd hazard a guess that she wants someone she can bully in a relationship. I think your response to all of this was completely reasonable. You opened yourself up to her suggestions and to try new things, and you kept your boundaries about not wanting to enter a management position at your store. I think you have a healthy viewpoint on yourself, your life, and what makes you happy. The fact that she called your work to complain without telling you is a major red flag. When you end things, I would just suggest that you stay focused on the fact that you were willing to change and try new things, while she was hardline and disrespectful of your choices. Someone who really cares about you would behave more like you did, seeking compromise. It is going to be uncomfortable, but you can do it. If she becomes angry, ask her to leave or leave the situation yourself, but don't waver on the fact that the relationship is over. I would strongly suggest going no contact after the breakup so that she cannot manipulate you out of your decision. Thanks for your advice and your compliments. I really appreciate both. I know she's had several red flags, and I am decided that I want to break up with her. I'm more worried about what she'll say or do to people around us, and if/how I can stop that. No contact is seeming likely. I miss making my own choices about stuff, and seeing my friends. And now for the update. Some things I want to address first. 1. I work at the same place I have done for years because of my anxiety. I know how to do everything at my job and it helps me feel grounded and not worry. When I said I'm basically a manager, I mean that I do sometimes fill in shifts and responsibilities for them. And we have talked about me officially being manager before. But it's not what I want. I don't want to take my work home with me and never be able to switch off like I see some of them do. That said, I do want to have some more ambition in my life going forward, and I'm going to be looking at other ventures. 2. My clothes. My band clothes are now back at my house. I still have the new clothes we bought as I paid for a lot of them, and I plan to continue wearing them too. I can see what she meant by wanting me to wear new clothes. I just didn't like her end goal or the way she went about it. For the people thinking I dress like those goth people dancing under a bridge, I don't. It's usually just a band tee/jumper with some normal jeans. I'm not a teenager, just a 30-year-old who still loves the same band. Haha. No hate to those dancing goths. I love that meme. Okay, so on to the main story. I took advice from some of the responses to the OP. We live separately, so there weren't any issues with leases. But I did change my locks as I had given her a key a few months ago. As for the breakup, it didn't go well, but it did go at least. I was at home thinking of how to do it, which cafe/restaurant I was gonna do it in, etc. She finished work and came to mine without any prior discussion. Not out of the ordinary, to be fair. In a way, she could tell something was off. And because I'd been thinking about it all for hours, I was 150% sure I wanted to do it, so just did it here instead. I first told her that I had lied about donating my clothes, and that I'd actually taken them to work instead. She was angry and called me a liar and everything. I apologized for it and tried to explain that I felt a lot of unfair pressure to get rid of them, when I didn't really want to and my collection wasn't hurting anyone. I don't really feel that the argument was fair, and I feel that her actions made me lie to her. But I hate saying stuff like that, so I just left it and moved on. I then told her I was really annoyed about her calling my boss. She said she was sorry, but I should be a manager. I said that's okay, and she looked confused, but accepted it, I guess. Then I just said I didn't want to be with her anymore because she actually had given me a second to speak. She looked shocked and asked me what I meant. I just said I didn't want to be with her anymore, and that I wanted her to leave and would be changing my locks but was open to calling / messaging about picking up her stuff. She said stuff like we don't have to break up, but I kept saying my mind is made up, and technically we already had. She called me pathetic as she walked out the door and slammed it behind her. This was the other day. I haven't heard from her, but I sent her a message about picking up her stuff. There isn't much of it here, so maybe she doesn't want to? Anyway, since then, I called my boss to explain that situation and be wary of any contact from her. We've worked together for years and we're good friends, so he was very understanding and said if I need help in any way, he'll try to provide it. We go for drinks often with other colleagues, so I'll explain it to them there probably. As for me, like I said above, I do want to work on myself a bit. Partly because of the things she said, but not for the same reasons. Just for me to grow a bit in terms of work experience and fashion sense. I'll be buying more smart casual clothes to wear as well. I don't think I'll ever fully stop wearing the band clothes though. Haha. I don't quite know what I want to do in terms of work, but I have the experience of teamwork and leadership from the store, which I think is usable and transferable to other jobs too. I'm feeling weird, but okay. It feels great to have acted decisively. I haven't felt sad yet, not happy either, just relieved mostly. Some of her stuff is still here and it feels weird to see it knowing it'll never be that way again. I don't know how to describe that feeling. Anyway, I've spoken to friends about it and we'll be seeing them soon. I don't know what she's been up to or what she'll do. Not sure if I want to know. There's nothing left for me with her anyway. Just wanted to thank everyone for their kind words in the original post. It felt really good to know I wasn't being treated fairly. And I wasn't just being stupid like she said. Some even messaged me with similar stuff or how they much liked their partners with similar habits to my band clothes, which was really nice. One of the reasons I still wear the band tees is sometimes other fans spot them, and we'll have a nice conversation about it. I'd always end a conversation with smiling. It's just nice. Not everyone wants to move up in their career. That's okay. If you can make what you need, then that's fine. Not everyone is cut out to be a manager. Do what you want. I'm glad you're rid of your girlfriend. She was toxic and so negative. She wanted to change you to her vision of what you should be, not what you actually want. I just read your original post, and good riddance. I'm a manager, really wish I wasn't, and you can pry my ridiculous metal teas out of my cold dead hands. Good on you for wanting to update where appropriate, but controlling your wardrobe is controlling / abusive behavior 101. You do that kind of thing, wardrobe or jobs, on your terms, no one else's. Like strive for improvement for sure, but not because someone you're dating for less than a year strong arms you into it. Seriously, good job standing your ground and making it happen. That was going to turn into something miserable, fast. Now for the last story. My girlfriend is upset with me because the job I got her is not up to her standards. My girlfriend, 27, has been unemployed for 3 years. She used to work at a restaurant near to where we live. The restaurant was about 6 to 7 minutes walk away, so she liked this job since it didn't require any commute. Ever since she lost her job, I have been asking her to apply for new ones and try getting one. For about 2 years, I didn't bring it up because of COVID. Then about 2 months ago, I asked her to again look for a job because it was really putting a lot of stress on me as the sole breadwinner. I was saving less than $150 a month for our future. She did start looking, and after 2 weeks, I also started helping her with it. I found out that a position of a receptionist was opening up in my company, warehouse department. So I asked her to apply. Since the position just opened up, there weren't any applicants. And I talked to the HR manager, who is a good friend of mine, to give my girlfriend a job. Since there weren't other applicants at the time, this did not breach my company policy. I still made sure with my boss regarding this, and she was fine with it. Girlfriend went into the job, and she hates it because it is in a warehouse and she doesn't have a fancy office. I told her to stick around and work a year, and she might get promoted and that pays better than her previous job. Before she used to make $30,000 a year, and now it is $42,000, which is a pretty solid jump in my opinion. A week later, she told me that she wants to quit because this isn't her thing. And my suggestion to her was that she can continue to look for the job she likes, and as soon as she finds one, she can quit here. She was clearly upset by having to do this job, so I sit her down on Sunday, and she's upset that I didn't get her an office job like mine. 1, there is no vacancy right now. 2, she isn't qualified or has prior experience with what we do in the office, so it wasn't likely she would have gotten it. But I told her that when a vacancy opens up, I'll see what I can do. She mumbles all the time that I want her to do labor-intensive job and like to see her suffer. She mumbles pretty loudly to make sure I hear it. She is responsible for making sure everything delivered to us is correct, and counting boxes and supervising staff, putting them into their designated places. After this, she needs to go to accounts and submit a report. Her job does require a lot of walking and standing. After getting tired of hearing this for 2 to 3 weeks, I ask her if she wants to quit. She can, and I'll just pay for everything. And then she can look for the job she wants to do. Honestly, this seemed like the only way to make her stop always being mad and saying stuff under her breath. I'm getting the feeling she doesn't want to go back to work, but I could be wrong. I have tried communicating to her that if I earn alone, we won't save anything for the future, and if we have children, we won't have anything saved up for their college and higher education. Nothing I say seems to faze her. What should I do? I sometimes don't even want to be with her, but we have made it work for 7 years, and most of it has been pretty good. Any advice? So is she your child or your girlfriend? Girlfriend who is acting like my child apparently. She's completely taking advantage of you. Really don't want to be the guy who dumps her when she has no income, but if she doesn't hold on to this job, I think this might be just it for me. I ask her if she wants to quit, she can, and I'll just pay for everything, and then she can look for the job she wants to do. You done messed up here, OP. I'm getting the feeling she doesn't want to go back to work. What, the 3 years of being unemployed didn't tip you off? What should I do? Except you have a permanent dependent. This was in a frustrated tone. I obviously don't want her to quit. Out of the 3, let's let 2 years slide because of COVID. Jobs were pretty hard to find, and people were losing jobs left and right. Trust me, I know. I had to break the news to half of my subordinates that they were being let go. If I had the means to support her while also saving for the future, I would, but I can't. I have more dependents on me and I don't think I can do this for much longer. If you were to quit your job and sit at home making her pay everything, she would leave you in a heartbeat.